Shout out Interscape, the name of that band.
Wow.
My band back in 20.
Yeah, I remember. I like the little wink you gave me.
Yeah.
Does his shirt say Oregon or Ciudad Obregón?
I'll let you guys guess.
Oregano. Got it.
Oregano.
Que
viva la marihuana.
Go to
huge oregano fan.
Yeah.
Even got a hand symbol for it.
Chimalguano.
Season's greetings, Jeff. Season's greetings to everybody. All right, San Diego Wave did play this weekend, and that's why we start, because it was the game that had consequences, because San Diego FC, because of MLS guidelines, there's no game, but there's their Wednesday game, so there was media availability today for SDFC, and I saw Oni Valakari spoke. We saw, of course, head coach Makivara, so we'll just play that here in a bit. But San Diego Wave go into a very important matchup because they were in third place compared to Washington Spirit's fifth place in the NWSL. It's one table. It's not West East. It's just one table. San Diego Wave is doing pretty well on that, and a lot of speculation. We actually mentioned this a couple of weeks ago about Maria Sanchez potentially leaving, and it was then confirmed by pal of the show, Cesar H. Football, multiple times. And finally today, news came where this was Maria Sanchez's last game, and it's the biggest unkept secret, worst kept secret here in San Diego locally.
No one wanted to officially acknowledge it though, which was kind of weird. Like, I think teams have done this before, where it's like, a player is going to leave at the end of the season. Like, everyone knew Trent Alexander-Arnold was going to leave Liverpool and go to Real Madrid.
Yeah,
he was still playing there, and they all were like cool with it. I think,
and then when it happens,
yeah, like
surprise.
I think the Wave should have at least the NWSL for that matter should at least acknowledge, like, hey, this is happening. It'd be a little bit cooler, I think, to give her a proper send off.
It's funny because I think we got an email about that news, but after Tigres had already posted it on social media as well.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. But again, I mean, that's usually how.
Do they not think internet exists in Mexico?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Slower.
Maybe not in Nuevo Monterrey.
But it's in Spanish though, so it's like this is English. We're confirming it.
Well, that's kind of how the Jonas Adebal stuff got confirmed, because I had words from a couple of insiders where it was like, hey, like, he's a finalist. This is a finalist that's looking into it. We announced it a little bit. We just said, hey, we have sources that are saying this. And then later, I think that night, I was in Mexicali, and then like news dropped. It's like, oh, it's starting to blow up. I'm like, yeah, per tweet back then. But it's all good. Everything has been pretty good with Jonas Adebal. Charged Maria Sanchez having that final game. People having mixed feelings in general. But yeah, Maria Sanchez going back to what I understood. Somebody commented a C-tier league in Liga MX Femenil. You say no. You say no. But what is A tier? What is top of the top?
S tier is the top of the
top. What is S
tier?
Is
NWSL.
And
in my opinion.
Sure. I'll give you that. Okay. What's next?
League wise,
A tier. I think then you can go to Europe.
Which one?
You
can't just say Europe.
I think that the women's soccer league.
So to England.
Yeah.
Okay.
England, and then B tier you would put, and then Spain would probably be up there
the
in
thing
A
with
tier
Spain
as well.
is tricky just because it's really Barcelona and maybe Real Madrid that are competitive.
Atletico was good for a while. I mean,
yes, but it's mainly Barcelona that is just like Barcelona could
top
compete
heavy. That's fair.
Barcelona could be an S tier team in the women's game. Like Barcelona, you put them in the NWSL, they'll probably win the NWSL. Like out of 5 years, they'll probably win in 3 years.
But what I think is that,
and then
when you're talking about leagues though and rankings, I think it's one slot per.
Oh,
you can't put one, because if you're talking about like,
then you're just ranking. It's not a tier list. Then
it's
a rank.
It's C rank.
You're just ranking.
The C rank.
Okay.
Would you agree? Maybe C rank.
Maybe.
I actually have a staff that played professionally for Cholos.
Oh yeah,
and she goes to school in Virginia because she got a full ride.
Hey, look at that.
It's like, hey, do you want to play for Wave? She said, no me aguanta las piernas ya. She's like, I just went to school for a scholarship.
But yeah, so you do see
a really strong lineup.
Really strong lineup. Yeah, I agree. As far as San Diego Wave goes, interesting. Maria Sanchez again getting that start.
She hasn't started for like a couple weeks too.
Yeah,
On paper, is this their strongest lineup yet?
Well, I mean, not without Maria Sanchez there. Kimi Ascanio needs to be there.
Kimi Ascanio, I agree. Kimi Ascanio
100%.
has been playing
She came
better
in
than Maria Sanchez.
and definitely changed things up. In terms of defending, sure, that's kind of what's been working. Kaylin Sheridan, the Eternal, obviously captain. I had some words. Well, Kaylin had some words for me in the post-match press conference.
Tranquilo.
No, not like I was not concerned she was going to run up on us after, because you know how you walk through the bottom and the players are there. Sometimes I was like, cool, all right, let's see what this is about. I'll show you. But yeah, the lineup here, Maria Sanchez deals to get that. Interesting that also Maria Sanchez was not featured in any of the pre-match billboards imagery. And that's kind of what you pointed out, Abe, that, it's just kind of, that's what's going to be happening. Spirit themselves is kind of in a weird space.
They are, but they're also in a good space, I think, because they have such like a solid plan and connection with that Spanish style that Adrian Gonzalez and also Hidalgo brought beforehand. They are missing Trinity Rodman, which is a huge blow to this team. I think if this Spirit side had a Trinity Rodman up top, Wave probably lose this game, I think, but they're still able to play really well defensively.
I'll pause it here. Chiva, just remember this individual, part of the refereeing crew. I know he has a name that we can provide in a couple minutes.
There was actually two different names, so I'm not sure what his name is.
There we go. That's a bad
There was a
start.
name on the lineup sheet, and then there was a name online. So
bad start. I mean, lineup sheet also said to play Seattle Reign, but this individual will be the focus of. I'd
This
say how
match?
much was the attendance? Like 15, we said? 16?
it's like 12,000. I think.
12,000. Okay, sure.
I can confirm the attendance right now. The attendance was,
And what? Yes.
as soon as this loads up.
As soon as it loads up. New
Loading
internet.
up. Keep talking. It's loading
Wow.
up.
You're like, I'll pull it up right now, and
edged
then
me like
12,011.
12,000, 11,000 boos.
Referee
potentially.
Matthew Corrigan.
Matthew Corrigan. Unless that's false news. Right here, was the focus of a lot of booing.
Again.
In the first half, which kind of led me to the question to Kaylin Sheridan, which had her feeling a certain type of way. Maybe not the most. Maybe not the.
It's
I might
not
be
the
his,
first time there's
she's not a
terrible
fan of me.
refereeing against Wave at Snapdragon this season. And we talked about it before, right? Where at this point, the fans are getting more comfortable. They're not a expansion team side anymore. So
Correct.
fans are building that rivalry towards players and other teams. And they're starting to recognize some of the same refs and not being shy about booing and talking trash to the ref when some calls aren't made. Some calls are made against them.
I will say, and as we see some of the highlights here starting to roll through, Abe, Chiva doesn't know this, but unfortunately there were some disturbances in the stadium.
oh yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah,
we saw security looking out from the press box.
It
There
was
some
pretty-
questionable things right outside.
You didn't hear? Well, of course, because
Some aggressive behavior, I think I would call it. It's fair to say, right?
at least, I was shocked.
Tipo
I actually
Querétaro o
forgot.
qué?
Querétaro is an understatement.
Oh, man. No me digas que el Pikachu se peleó.
This is a Pokemon battle in the stand. Do you have a video? I didn't know you had a video of this.
I don't think I have the video of it. Just I don't want to get flagged by YouTube. It was the dogs at the park day or the whatever.
Pups at the pitch.
Pups at the pitch.
Uh-huh.
TM. And the whole time.
Not the whole time.
Okay, well, security got there.
During the national anthem, they did play the Black national anthem too, which was a nice rendition. Snapdragon's microphones weren't picking up a bit. But it was kind of embarrassing, honestly. But
Snapdragon.
yeah, during the national anthem, you did hear some aggressive behavior from these fans.
Yeah, no. Essentially, dogs were just going at each other, just barking it up the whole time, and just really being, just in general, just being
puppies.
hostile. No, they were hostile. I think some of the worst fans
Not being
of
very good
San Diego
puppies.
Wave history. But they did make the whole experience 1,000% better. It was honestly one of the coolest things.
What's the cutest puppy you guys saw?
There was one security dog that was literally like, that looks like oh man, he was one day away from retiring type of thing. Like he's just like, man, here I am once again, sniffing for bombs that I'm never gonna get. He looked like that.
It did look
That's
like that.
hilarious.
I do feel bad for those dogs. Like, how do they? That poor dogs just for years. Are they looking for bombs or are they looking for drugs? I
Well,
assume they're probably looking for.
well,
bombs.
if
I think
if
I
it,
think
if it's the first one, then they do a terrible job at it at Shakira concerts and just every concert because everybody just smuggles in everything under the sun.
Oh wow!
Incredible, just violence. Please, viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, this technically works for them. So
They were at work.
How many times did Tony make his doggy voice?
Oh no, weird phrasing, but you're actually gonna hear me narrate what you're doing.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
Okay.
The narration was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. Tony sometimes doesn't.
Least of our concerns because
Anyways,
on the
wave
pitch, wave game, 0-0. But in context with everything that was going on, San Diego Wave should have won this game. This was drop points by San Diego Wave. There was multiple opportunities for them to take it and take this game and really just score at the end of it. But they weren't able to. Great performance by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Aubrey Kingsbury had some good saves throughout this game. I think they had a season high, could be a like team high in corner kicks and set piece opportunities in this match, but they were unable to capitalize on any of them. Kenza Dali, Savannah Casco, and Maria Sanchez, all the three that took these chances, but I mean, none of them got really close. There was a chance, I think, by Kimi Ascanio that came really close there with a header, and then a kick in that Aubrey Kingsbury just barely saved. But beyond that, there was really nothing strong on the offensive side. Washington was just compact and really just sat back and let it come to them.
I'm sure we'll get to talk about it, but I know there was a lot of things that happened in the first half. But Kimi Ascanio is getting really good at that outside the foot shot.
Yeah,
that shot she got in the second half was just phenomenal. That first touch shot he has is great. And Tony, we're talking like Kimi Ascanio is one of the better players and probably a reason why Maria Sanchez also departed the club.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Ascanio, when you see her play, she makes the right call every time. Like, she makes the right mature decision. Like, hey, sometimes I need to just go back, track back, and start it over again with Dali. Sometimes I just need to look. I need the help with McCaskill, or I can not check back in and fake the check back, and I have the talent to just turn upfield, make a play on my own, do a cross or do a pass, because then I'm going to do the run, and then she puts herself in those spots. Sometimes the ball just doesn't get to her, but those connections are happening for sure for Ascanio.
Yeah.
So
she definitely played in more of a 10 position. She subbed down for Gia Corley and not for Maria Sanchez in this game,
correct,
but still was just letting the defense know that she was there and had like an unmistakable presence there.
All right. So in the first half, there was obviously a big moment where the boo bird started coming out because
Dali flicks it over. Cascarino in with her head. She goes down in the box, and the whistle is blown late. Lundqvist, Dali, Cascarino.
we'll get a better look here.
Very confused why that
Cascarino going into the box. There's some contact. Jonathan had the ball. Looking. Are you kidding me?
Utterly.
Those boos coming in.
I sent the other one. With
you sent the other one, and I'll go ahead and share that one right there.
Clear replay, but
boom, boom.
There.
Cascarino is lowering her head, but still dangerous play from the center back.
So no contact by the Spirit defender, but she does get the foot very high, hits the ball kind of back towards her face, and then Cascarino goes down very fast. What do you think, Jeba? You weren't at the game. What do you think?
Here's the thing, right? With calls like this, we call it what? Juego peligroso, dangerous play, right? You don't raise your leg up there. It's not like Cascarino lowers her head a lot to like make it a dangerous play. 10 out of 10 times outside the box, the ref is calling that as a foul. The issue is when it's inside the box, where then refs get very picky on, oh, well, there was no contact, but you're going to call it outside the box. I'm really tired of refs having that power of really saying like inside the box, no, my discretion, like no contact, that's not going to be a foul. Like Adriana Leon's reaction, like, are you kidding me? So, like I said, like
I love that.
I think that should be called as a penalty because I mean, yes, there's no contact, but it's a dangerous play that you're going to call outside the box. Call it inside the box as well, because I mean, it's a reckless foul, like a reckless challenge from the defender, and you were literally 2 inches away from actually probably creating a very bad injury for Cascarino. So I think that should determine a penalty. And I can see why they started booing the ref.
I think at the very least, this is what VAR is built for.
Yes.
And created for.
Yeah.
Is you have a somewhat questionable thing that happens inside the box. The referee makes a split second decision, which is completely okay. And then I think after the fact, you can look back at the replay. If you see the replay slow down, if you even show the fans in the stadium if the replay showed down, I think you could understand, like, okay, maybe it's not a red card or a penalty, but it's such a high kick inside
Like,
the box too.
you
And
hear the crowd react live.
Where
Like,
she
listen.
comes across, Cascarino is lowering her head, but still
Hear me out.
dangerous
Hear me
play
out.
from the center
You
back.
know, sometimes there's indirect free kicks inside the box, like
Yes.
when they pass it to the goalkeeper, they pick it
That's,
up.
yeah.
Maybe creating a rule, FIFA, just in general.
Oh, we're just
when
throwing
there's
shit to FIFA.
when
Okay, I love
there,
it.
when
Hey,
there's
FIFA,
a
you're out there.
dangerous place like when there's a dangerous play inside the box like this, where there's no contact, but it's a dangerous play that could have been called outside the box or probably will be called instead of a penalty, there's award an indirect free kick inside the box.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Because again, that's
They keep changing
technically
rules all the time.
what should happen because if he's outside the box, if they're outside the box, you're not calling a foul, but you're calling like a phantom foul, which is essentially it's el juego peligroso. Like there's no actual contact, but you could have hurt somebody. Don't do that. Here's your punishment: indirect free kick.
Yeah.
And inside, outside the box, I think that's
Did we just create a
absolutely
solution
fair.
to that here?
Kind of, but it's a good idea, so it'll never happen. But either way, at the end of the day, this wasn't called. People were mad. People are upset.
Where she comes across, Cascarino is lowering her head, but
If
still
I'm the defender and that gets called, I'm mad. But again, just go check it
The
at
fact
VAR.
that the commentator says Cascarino was low, like no, like she jumped and she's like bending
that's a
over.
fair, that's a fair
There's a
ball to
big
go
difference
for.
between this and this. Like we've seen both of those happen. Like, look how high her leg is. That's ridiculous.
I mean, if you want to be fair, this isn't very unpopular. Technically, that's a handball.
It's a shoulder. It's not.
Nope.
You think that's a handball?
It hits the arm. It doesn't hit the shoulder. It's pinned against her arm.
it is a handball.
Uh,
You
know what?
Delete
Handball.
the last 3 minutes of this podcast
VAR,
because
they-
it's a handball.
That'd be funny if it goes to VAR. And
So
so
anyways,
no, none of that. It's actually a
Did
handball.
they review it at all or no?
No.
No.
And
Oh,
that's
crazy.
when I was like turned to Abe. I'm like, I've never heard a VAR chant. Like the Snapdragon Stadium was like VAR.
That's pretty cool.
VAR.
That's
I was
interesting.
like, all right, cool. Didn't happen. Everybody was mad, but everybody pressed on. This was around the 41st minute into the first half. Everything kind of ends into the half. Everybody gets booed. Kalen Sheridan, as the captain, then runs all the way up. Kalen again, maybe not my biggest fan right now. But there's a reason why I like captains to be on the field, because then you can have Kenza just talk to the ref right there as the captain, and I have to wait for Kalen Sheridan to, have a chance, an opportunity to run over at halftime when,
Mhm.
you can't do anything about it. You had an interesting point about that, though.
Well, I think Kenza Dali was talking to the ref throughout the game. She
Mhm.
was kind of the pseudo captain without wearing the armband. And oftentimes, like, I think a lot of some players will talk to the ref more than others, even without the armband. But I think it's pretty understood that it's okay, the captain's the one that's going to give the real good conversations with the referee. So Kenza is allowed to do that
Mhm.
because they don't have a captain on the field. And then in halftime or in other situations, Sheridan does get to come out to the referees and have her conversation with the refs to plead their case for whatever decisions might occur. So maybe it's a little bit better to have your goalkeeper as a captain, so then you have two players that get to yell at the ref. But also at the same time, maybe it's worse because refs take things personally, and it's like I don't want to
They
deal with
really
two
do.
people yelling at me over a decision I made.
Abe,
So
you would know how personally the referees take it. You got a personalized email from them.
it
Saying,
wasn't
like,
personalized. It was from
it was
the Pro
personal.
Referees
You're
Association. It was every media member got that sent in a pull reporter request. But it was a what?
Saying what?
It was just saying like, oh, these are the rules. These are the questions we always get. Here are some of the rules of the game. This is what dogso means. This is what a handball is, and it's just like I know what that means. Like the Pro Referees Association sent out an email, but it's fine. Anyways, 14 corners. You got to score at least one.
At least one of them. You've been pretty proficient when it comes to set pieces this season, but for some reason this game it wasn't the case.
And now you're trading away one of your most important players in set pieces,
Mhm.
which is definitely a choice. Like obviously Maria Sanchez chose to leave. She wanted to leave. She asked for the transfer away, but now it's kind of you're reaching a point where if you're having struggle on the offensive end, I think Wave is going to need something or somebody to help them on the set piece front, just because it didn't look great.
A me
What's
official?
that? A me official? A big fish?
A big fish in
It's
San
not
Diego?
too late for them to like.
You think that could
put
happen?
something
not.
in there?
Didn't they
It's-
not offer? They didn't send
I
it
mean,
in?
it's not over. I mean, the transfer market, the transfer window technically doesn't open until July.
And they do have this money freed up now with like Maria Sanchez is one of the top players in the
Just
NWSL.
saying,
So
who's to say that Jonas may
They're-
not play with two strikers up top and have Mia Fisher and Leon? Mia Fisher can technically also play on the wing. Adriana Leon can play on the wing. I mean, Jonas Idolball is known to really rotate his players around a little bit. We've seen Gia Corley on both ends. We've seen Kimi Ascanio playing on the wing already and did it pretty well as well. So I don't know. Anything can happen. You lose an attacking player. It only makes sense that you would want to acquire an attacking player.
at this point, if I had like one decision to do with like this freed up money, I think I would extend Kimi Ascanio
Mhm.
at this point.
Yeah.
That's because she has been such a valuable player on this team, and she can like do so much on a lot of ends of the ball. She can play as a 10 or just a midfielder. She's got a lot of potential, and she's going to be playing for the national team soon. That's where I would go. I think Mia Official is a great player too. That would be a good option. I don't think Mia Official wants to come to San Diego, if I'm being completely honest.
They also
Yeah.
just announced the two like rookies they signed, local players. What are the names?
Oh, Nia
Fusco,
Harrison
Nia-
and Jordan Fusco.
Yeah.
They've been part of the
They-
rotation squad and
Mhm.
just a training,
Yeah.
training squad essentially.
I mean, they finally signed them, and I mean, Brad brings a good point, right? They're now below the minimum players allowed for a roster. So I do think we're gonna see a player probably making their way to San Diego Wave.
Or
This
they
summer?
could take off Trinity Byers off the season-ending injury list. She has
She
been
is a
training a
winger.
little bit more.
Yeah,
So-
and she's been getting reps in training as you've seen, and I don't think you were reminded how good she is just in seeing her, or just
I don't think I actually saw her like with the ball. I think I saw her warming up and was like, "Whoa, she's
Whoa,
fast!"
damn.
Like
that's how good
Well,
she is.
she
Saw her
was-
warming up, she's like, oh,
You know, the way it was brought to us at one like early in the season, I think the first media availability they had this season
Mhm.
was that Trinity Byers was one of the most sought out players, college players coming into the NWSL. She was injured, but she was still one of the most talented players at the collegiate level. So that could also be a possibility. Maybe she's getting close to being match fit. That could be
also
interesting.
Chiamaka, we kind of forgot about her. She
True.
was
she's
She almost-
nursing an injury, was nursing an
Mhm.
injury,
yeah,
and
still
that's-
nursing injury, but she performed at a really high level in that. I think it was Orlando, right?
Yeah, like the fastest goal, like coming off the sub.
Yeah. So they do have options. At least they don't necessarily have to go to the transfer market to add. But
How cool would Mia Official coming to Wave be?
That
That's
would
a
be
cool
cool.
story. Local kid coming to a local team. We're actually going to talk local soccer here in a bit, 8:45, with our buddy Jacob from KBBS, and he's going to go ahead and talk about the event that we have this upcoming Saturday, which is Kicking It with KPBS, Saturday, June 28th,
Can you
10 a.m.
kick it?
through 1 p.m. At San Diego State University. We'll get into that here shortly. But I've been kind of teeing this up. Nothing else really happened in the match. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
the dogs were fantastic. I actually get to that. I have another clip ready for that at
Oh.
Bulls, Gaps, and Greats at the end. But Kaylin
Yeah.
Sheridan and McCaskill. I'm just so used to
you owe me
saying McNabb.
$1, by the way.
I do
Why
owe
you
a dollar.
guessed who you were gonna get?
I just said it wasn't going to be.
Yeah, it wasn't
McNabb.
going to be McNabb, and it was another Mac. And then I joked, "Hey, it's a Mc press conference." Bad joke. Anyways, it's then
I
asked.
hate how funny that is.
It's not
Press conference.
McPress conference. I
I
asked.
get you, I
I
get you.
asked McCaskill and Kalen Sheridan, just kind of, hey, the game difficult to score. Great response. Do you want to hear that response? Do you think, or just cut to the chase?
From response from what? From McCaskill?
From McCaskill.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like it. All right, here's Savannah McCaskill and Kalen Sheridan.
Okay, big squad. Kick us off, Tony.
Hi. Could you take us through the match tonight in 0-0? It seemed to be difficult, but dominated by Wave in the second half. What made it so difficult to try to break down spirit in this match?
Yeah, I think we kind of anticipated them pressing a bit more than they did. They actually sat in a pretty low block. They would occasionally press, but it was kind of with 1-9. And so it was harder for us to obviously break down the lines because they were more compact. So we had to, pick and choose our moments, be patient because they were a threat on the counterattack. So we had to be aware of that. But yeah, the low block just kind of causes problems. I think we had really good chances, but at the end of the day, we didn't put one in the back of the net. So we have to learn from that.
I think could you give us your perspective each about the action late in the first half that would have been called penalty or not gone to VAR, and then the conversation, Kayla, you had as a captain with the referee after.
Man, you're always trying to get me in some trouble or something. Yeah, it's a tough one. I understand both sides. I think, though, it's a dangerous play, and the only reason it wasn't called is because she didn't touch her. But if you're going to put your foot up that high, it's just dangerous and unnecessary, in my opinion. And again, that's my opinion. So we have to move on. That's the call of the ref. Unfortunately, we have to just play the game with whatever they say. And I think we did a good job of letting it go, but ultimately it's a frustrating one. Instead, next time she's just going to get kicked in the face, I guess. All right. Yeah.
That's crazy. Look at McCaskill's face. She was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we tend to ask Sheridan about calls like that, and it's not just Sheridan, it's that we get Sheridan when calls like that happen.
Well,
so-
you're the captain.
exactly.
You have to be asked that, right?
And you know what? That's something we asked so many times last season. Hey, give us Alex Morgan. Some stuff is going down. We need to talk to the captain. We need to talk to the leader. And we kept getting McNabb.
That's an interesting name you mentioned.
Yeah.
Some news soon. Just keep an eye on that.
McNabb?
okay,
Just kidding.
Yeah. Tomorrow, actually. Keep an
Okay.
eye.
okay."
Did you not get it?
No,
I'll
I
show you.
gotta check my email.
Yeah, check it. You're not going to find it because it's not via email. It's via sources. Nothing important in terms of actual play. Don't worry.
Yeah, I saw
yeah.
the email.
Well, it's not email. It's the sources. With that, Savannah McCaskill's womp face absolutely warranted there because they were not even sent to VAR. Yeah. You see.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not-
exactly.
it's-
It has zero impact on
Yeah.
on the yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's cool. All right, let's just break the news.
I mean, if you really want to break some news, here you go.
What do you have?
I can't show that actually. Anyways, San Diego Wave, Jonas Eideval, post-match press conference as well. He was a little bit more diplomatic with how he handled that question and scenario. But here is a Jonas Eideval post-match press conference, 0-0, Washington Spirit. And, overall, I wouldn't say a bad result. I don't know. We'll see. Here's Jonas Eideval.
That second half, and what adjustments were made in order to make sure that the offensive side and the final third were a little bit more constructive? And then your thoughts on the first half in that penalty, potentially no call with the VAR?
I think obviously, like in the first and the second half, Washington changed their shape and their way they're playing defense. And I've spoke quite a bit here in this press conference about team maturity and being able to handle against playing against different systems, different formations. And today, I think you see a team that is doing that they throw something at us at the beginning of the game, which they haven't done in the past 5 games. But for us, no problem. We can go from minute 1 to play against that. They change to something else in half time. We can go out again and say, okay, no problem. We know what we change to, and we can find both our formation and our decision making and what's going to be important there. So that's really kudos to the team in that development. Question number 2, I'm consistent, no comments.
No comment from
he's told
Look at
us
that smile.
he's
Look
told
at
us
that
before.
smile. Look
I
at
can't
him.
speak about the rest because I get in trouble or I'll get fined. So he's very careful about
that's a
answering that.
cheeky reaction right there. If I speak, I get in trouble.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
wrong.
that was the last NWSL game
For
in a while. There's 2 games in July, one at Torero, July 12th against Utah, and then they play July 20th against Utah again in Utah. Next NWSL game for them is going to be August 2nd, if I have that right. August 2nd against NC Courage. And it's going to be an away match. So predictions wise against Utah. No, I'm just kidding. You both had a tie.
Are we going to this Utah game? I'm kind of excited. Are we going to get the Torero Stadium food once more?
This is my
the lemonade.
This game is close to the public. It's just season ticket members only.
When is this?
July 12th.
Okay.
July 12th. San Diego Wave. You want to do something cool? Let San Diego Punto Fútbol broadcast this game from Torero. It's not a big production. We'll do a San Diego Inter production. It's not professional whatsoever, to a degree. If you want to provide some cameras, you want to provide some equipment, I'm down. We'll provide the audio. We'll provide the mics. We'll provide the everything.
We'll do it for free.
We'll do it for free.
I don't think it's the best idea to make this ask on a live podcast, but
why not?
That'd be you guys wouldn't you think you'd be scared to broadcast from Torero? There's a lot of important things that have happened on that field.
And guess who was on that field for most of those?
We were.
I was there the day that Abby Dahlkemper went down and Chiva retired her until Abby Dahlkemper decided to return from the ashes.
Are you talking about just wave moments or soccer moments in general at Torero Stadium? Because Tony was there when San Diego Loyal forfeited a match.
I was there. I was one of 12 people. I was there at was the first sporting event during the pandemic that was allowed and greenlit at Torero Stadium because it was a USL championship game with San Diego Loyal.
Wow.
Who was more qualified to broadcast this friendly match?
Nate Aburrea, Jack Cronin, Craig Elston, Darren Smith, Sal Zizzo, Alejandro Guido, the Big Squeeze Lemonade guy. I mean,
there's a lot of people.
A Taste of East Africa people.
A lot.
I miss them. Might be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And then do it in Spanish. We could do it in Spanglish. We could do it in both. Tell Wave.
That would be cool.
Don't tell Wave. It's fine.
Maybe we can send an email.
Or we could just rogue set up in the hill.
Technically, you think you could do that.
Technically, you can do that. 100%.
Like, I don't know if for the people out there, if you see in the parking, there's like a parking lot that looks down into Torero Stadium, and it's actually a kind of cool view.
Yeah, it's really the vibes are good from there, especially on the sunset.
Yeah, there's always like people walking by and standing there for a little bit, like just coming by to watch the game, which I think is really cool. Just it's always cool when people just can watch sports for free like that.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else San Diego Wave?
Halfway point of the season, they are top 3. I would like to admit that Alejandro Chiva Villaseñor is very, very right. And I will have a column coming shortly about how right he is and how wrong I was.
Thank you. So stupid. I'm probably one of the few people that before the season started had San Diego Wave top 3 end of the season. I mean, it's still halfway there, but anything can happen.
No, I mean, you're spot on. Everybody,
there are only 4 points or really 6 points from being out of playoffs.
See,
so
if you were telling me that before the season, the San Diego FC would have been second in the Western Conference at this point in the MLS season, I would give you like, oh my god, like what? How did you know? That is
I
a
also said
genius.
they would either be really good, like how they
Well,
are right
that's
now, or really, really
literally
bad.
fence sitting. There is a term for that, and not a bad term, but not bad. But yeah, San Diego Wave, third place right there. All right.